Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Microsoft 365 Business Boost Show. I am your host, Therman Trotman. I'm here with my guy, Nick DeCourcy. Nick, what's going on?
I'm same as usual, Therman. Just great. How you doing?
I'm great. And even better today, you know what I mean? Because we have a guest with us, Mr. Darrell Webster. And Darrell, how about a quick intro?
A quick intro, yeah. Thank you for the boundaries there. I'm someone who's super interested in helping people make the most of technology. I'm interested in productivity. Loop is one of those things. I've worked in the Microsoft 365 space for quite some time, so got familiar with Microsoft way of delivering and our way of working with it. I'm creative. I'm into photography. I like talking to people and just sitting down and learning about how they work. And I come from Middle Earth, or at least the New Zealand version of that.
Now, Nick, we were talking in preparation for this show because we wanted to get Darrell on and talk about Microsoft Loop.
Yep.
And Darrell, let me give you a quick story about something that happened in our preparation meeting, which was Nick saying to me, Nick said, all right, you know, how much have you been using Loop? And I was like, I mean, I haven't really used it much except for this one reason. For this one thing that I tried a few months ago. And he was like, if I'm not mistaken, we cannot send a Loop component, I guess it is.
Meeting invite. It's the thing in the meetings, Therman.
And when you create a meeting invite,
So, hang on, back up.
Oh, okay, all right.
Back up. So, Loop. People might not know what we're talking about when we're talking about Loop, right? So we've got this stuff that's all across Microsoft 365. It's everywhere, right? Loop here, Loop there, a little bit of Loop, a little bit of, what's that song? I can't remember. I'm not going to sing it. So anyhow, there you go. That was what I was thinking. But I'm still not going to sing it. Thank you. So we've got a little bit of Loop everywhere. So one of the places that we've got Loop is we're seeing it arrive in Teams. We're seeing it arrive in meeting invites. We're seeing it if we use Facilitator. Like all of these capabilities are based upon Loop, and not the Loop app, but Loop the technology. But what we were talking about, and I'll let you continue your story, was specifically that the new experience of like creating notes in meetings or creating agendas in meetings, there's now really two options. You can do it the old way and you can just send it in the meeting invite, or you could do the new sparkly thing at the bottom, which is start your new agenda and notes and so on and so forth, and you can fill that out and you can send it too. But trying to do that, you end up perhaps with some unexpected results. So let you continue, Therman. Sorry.
Unexpected results is probably a good way to explain it. But yeah, what Nick is talking about is when you create an invite and you, under normal circumstances, if you have an agenda, you would just write in the body of that invite what the agenda is and then send it off. Everybody gets it. If you need to make an update, then you make the update and everybody gets a reminder email.
We've been doing it since 1995 that way, right? Like everyone knows how to do it.
You're right. Yeah, it's a very old school thing to do. Everybody is very used to it who uses email. What Loop did was now, this is what I was talking to Nick about. I was like, the thing that I heard about Loop, because I haven't used it enough, but the thing that I heard that was supposed to be attractive about Loop is that you have these Loop components where they can be blocks of content that can be placed anywhere, but all of those places that they're placed, they're in sync. So if you think about that with a meeting invite, you put one of these components inside of the meeting invite, and then that way, if you, let's say, have to update the agenda, you update it in one place and it like keeps it in sync across all these components. And then Nick was like, I don't think we can do that. I don't think I can send it to you outside of the environment. Like outside of my Microsoft 365 environment, if I invite you to this meeting and I put the component in there, you can't see it. So right there on the spot, we tested it. And we came to the conclusion that either we are idiots or you can't do this. So my first question is, everybody wants to know, are we idiots, me and Nick here, Or is this something you can do, that you can share your meeting invite with a Loop component in it outside of your 365 environment?
Very good. All right. We're going to make a list of questions, and then we'll take a journey. I'll bring you into the Loop and sort of explain a few things about how things work, and then we'll circle back, or loop back, as I might say, and answer those questions. How's that sound?
I like it. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about I ask you guys some questions? What was your first experience using Loop? Where did you use it for the first time?
I
Nick,
feel like you might be about to prove that we are idiots, but we'll see.
That's not the point.
I'll take it. I'm fine with that.
I've used Loop quite a lot off and on. I don't use it day to day, but I would say I try out the different features of it. I was very excited about Loop from the point of view of not necessarily the Loop app, but the technology that underpinned Loop, and the way that I kind of understood what was coming with Loop was that we were trying to really redefine what sharing content meant across Microsoft 365. We were trying to move people outside of the boundaries of, I think about a Word document, or I think about a PowerPoint slideshow, etc., etc., etc. We wanted to get to a point where we're considering what is the purpose of what you're creating, as opposed to what is the app that you're working in. And so I thought that was a very exciting prospect. And this has been talked about for years at this point. I think it was talked about that the underlying technology was fluid framework, right? And there's kind of APIs that you can plug into if you're a third-party developer to use all of this. And a lot of the kind of modern sharing and collaboration experience that we see within Microsoft 365 is underpinned by what we see in Loop. But in terms of the experience of like the individual pieces of it that have turned up, the app itself, I'm a OneNote user. I haven't been convinced yet to move my activities across from OneNote to Loop, despite having tried it out and used it. Some of the pieces of it that I found the most interesting, like, for example, being able to trigger Power Automate flows from changes that happen within Loop, I understand are now kind of changing or going away. Components within Word, I think, have disappeared. And there are pieces of Loop that seem very appealing to begin with, and I've tried out, that seem to have changed a lot. And we're left with pieces that are still to do with that collaboration experience, and on the surface work really nicely. Like the experience of like facilitator in a Teams meeting, and then you've got the Loop component that's sitting there in the notes, and everyone can work on it. Works really nicely. But for my particular use case, where I'm a solopreneur, so every single meeting I have is with someone outside my company, I hit a hard wall with Loop, because it doesn't facilitate that kind of collaboration. So in terms of it being kind of a direct just evolution of what we have been doing, to being able to take all this stuff and do it in Loop, either the things seem to have disappeared a little bit or changed a lot from what was originally proposed, and the things that are there seem a lot more difficult to actually collaborate with people on, depending on who it is that you're trying to collaborate with. I can see that if you're in a very large enterprise where most of what you do is with someone internally, then Loop probably works really, really well based on what I've seen. But I have to believe there are probably those edge cases where you 9 times out of 10 have meetings just with the internal people, and that 10th meeting you have an important consultant from outside, and you completely forget that they can't see anything that you're working on. It's the same problem with Copilot, though. We have exactly the same with, like AI summaries. Like, that's just changed a little bit, so there is a way to get them external, but it doesn't work exactly. Some of the collaborative stuff around the AI, those AI features, work in exactly the same way. And we seem to be developing a world that's more collaborative, but more locked down about who you can collaborate with. That would be my kind of position on what I've seen with Loop so far. That's a really long answer for how I've used Loop to begin with. But there we go. I think, I've got a video with over 40,000 views that is just me ranting about Loop for 20 minutes. So that's who I am. So there we go. Take it or leave it.
Just help boost this video's views by ranting about it. Don't forget to pop in things like switch to and other keywords that will help boost the Boost podcast.
There you go. It's all about the engagement.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Therman, how did you first use Loop?
I tried to document a SharePoint solution I was building. And one thing in particular I remember was being able to, I think, make a table, but then inside of one of the cells in a table, I could put even more details inside of that cell. I thought that was a pretty cool feature for what I was doing, but I didn't finish the documentation in there, and I didn't go back. That was my probably single experience with Loop, my first and only.
No, that's cool. No, and you're both coming from, I guess, different perspectives that actually make the point about where people experience and try Loop out. If they're coming into an organization afresh and they've never used Microsoft stuff, what would they use? Where would they come across it? Are they going to see it installed on their desktop? Probably not, because it's a web app, unless some organization has pulled it out of the store, Windows Store, and then made it as part of the build. Most people are going to see it in the meeting experience that you see with Nick, where some keen person has clicked on this thing called Agenda, or they're going to see a little logo at the bottom of either a chat or an email, and it's like, oh, what's Loop? And they'll click on this, and it'll create a sparkly little thing. I love that description. In fact, Nick has beautifully toned the background for, I guess, the colors that you might see that sparkle around this border as you click Loop.
I try.
Impressive, Nick. Impressive.
and like, so they click on this logo, but that little sparkly Loop thing doesn't happen to begin with. It drops down and gives you some choices, bullet points. Okay, well, I can do that already, type in an email. What's a table? Oh, okay, we'll try that. Or what's a Q&A? I'll try that. So the curious people that are trying to use Loop for the first time, they try it out. And I've always thought that, it's maybe a bit underwhelming, because it's just this little white canvas in the middle of something with a few little tools around the edges, and you kind of go, okay, I can type it, shrug, moving on. But when you start to share it with people, or maybe as an individual, and we'll come back and talk about Nick's paradigm of, well, what would I use Loop for if I'm not in an organization collaborating with people? I want to collaborate with people outside. That these choices about where to start and how to use it are important, and that's true of any software. As you're working with productivity, of trying to tell people, here's the scenario about what you would use it for and why you would use it. So we could start at the beginning of what is Loop. It is.
Wait. Sorry. Darrell, I was gonna say, what about you? What was your first experience with Loop? Do you remember?
Yeah. It because it wasn't called Loop before that. It was called Live Components before it was officially launched. And the vision for it was you would click on a button in a Teams chat or an Outlook email. It would create this little space, and it was effectively a way of writing and drafting something that you could share inside the chat or the email, but it was live. So we could do that already. We could share a link to a Word document, and we'd get co-authoring as we both open it and start typing in it.
Okay.
But what an effect to have pushing that button, you receive something, it has content in it, but there's already someone there. And so it's almost like, ooh, I'm going to get involved in that. I can see something happening. And look, it's up to date already. I don't have to go searching for where that document is or where that link was saved. It's right there attached to my meeting invite or my email. So my first experience was where it first launched. It was first launched in chat for Teams and Outlook. And it was an underwhelming little button like, okay, I don't get it. But I got it. I understood it. I started to talk about it, and that's why I'm the Loop guy.
I think that's something to be proud of. I wouldn't hang my head in shame on that one. That's something good there. So okay, all right. So go ahead. You were gonna I believe you were probably gonna start at the beginning of Loop.
Absolutely.
Is that what you were?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
And
What you got?
it might help you guys and also others to find the words to explain what is Loop and how and why we might use it. For years and years, we've had Word documents, Excel, PowerPoint. We had OneNote added in around 2003, which, these are all files. OneNote's a little special, though, because it's actually a container with files inside it, but we don't see it that way. They're all Office documents. Yes, we can still call them Office documents, even though the product is now Microsoft 365 Copilot. Anyway, marketing gone crazy. Loop is just another file type. Okay, it is, as Nick said, it's powered by Fluid Framework, but regular people, they don't care about that. Like, it's just another file. And that's why when we're using it in Microsoft 365, it is adhering to the same ways of sharing, storing it in OneDrive, storing it in SharePoint. It's just another file, but it is a little different. While you can collaborate on it at the same time, like you can open up a Word document and you can see the cursor flying around and doing stuff, the difference with a Loop component is that it embeds. And it is where you'll hear it described sometimes as this portable canvas that I can start something in the place that I'm currently working, the app that I'm currently working, and I could share that in other various places as well. So this is why the first experience that we had with Loop was components. I'm in you and I, we're all in this chat. Let's say we're all in the same organization. So we'll come back to why that's the case. And we need to make some notes in this meeting. Sometimes what happens is, okay, so which notebook are we going to use? Oh, OneNote. Do you have a OneNote, Nick? Yeah, he's got a OneNote. Is it shared? Okay, let me just wait. I'll share it. Oh, wait, do we have a team in common? We're all like scrambling around for 2 minutes trying to create this shared space. Someone gets sick of that and says, well, just write it in the chat. We'll get back to it. Just add it there. And that's exactly where you find Loop. So group chat, hit the Loop button. You've got a little space there that you can start taking notes, and it's shared with everyone in the meeting from your organization.
Wait, so you mean, my bad. So you mean like when we're in a meeting and, somebody shares a URL, we're in a meeting for a specific thing. Somebody's like, yeah, look at this URL. You can find this website here with all this information. Under normal circumstances, we would drop that in the chat. But you're saying that it would be better to drop it in a Loop component. And if we did, then so what changes? Because if you drop the link in the chat of the meeting, it's possible that I'm outside your organization, and as soon as that meeting is over, I don't know, weirdly, I don't have access to the chat anymore or something. I don't know. So are you saying the way to circumvent that possibly is to put it in a Loop component, and then I should have access to that after we're done with the meeting?
Maybe I need to address that now before we talk a little further about.
Okay.
I think that would be good, because I think you were both making good points, but I think you're talking slightly different points. Like you're, Darrell, talking about like almost like the permanence of that you can pick it up and use it again later and put it in the right place and so on and so forth. Whereas Therman, you're talking about the reach of it, the reach to everyone that's involved, and those two things are both important metrics that are core to this issue of not knowing where data is?
So knowing that it is just a file, like it's a Word document. What can we do with a Word document today? We can put it in, first of all, the right place that allows us to share with the people that we want to share with. If it's internal, no problem. If it's in a team that we share with people, no problem. If we want to share it beyond our organization with guests, maybe OneDrive is the right place to put that, because we are enabled to share with people outside of our organization, and we then have to take responsibility for the files inside that. So knowing that we can do that with regular files when we are in a chat, and who owns that chat, right? It is maybe the person who organized the meeting, or maybe it is literally just a group chat and we are all on an equal footing. There is no chat owner. There's a team owner, but there's no chat owner. So where would that file go? Even if it wasn't Loop, probably the best place to store it is your OneDrive, because I created it, I shared it, and now it's shared with everyone in that group chat. So with Loop, again, just like another file, that's where loops are stored in a group chat. I created it, it gets stored in my OneDrive, and the flow from there, not the Microsoft flow, of course, but the permission side of things is, well, it's in my space and I'm sharing it with the people that are currently in this chat. Now, today, we can do that in our organization. It is on the roadmap to make this possible to do with other people in other organizations, our guests in our meetings, our guests in our chats. It is something that they're leaning towards. One thing that, of course, you'll understand why it may or may not work is if I send this email with a loop inside it, maybe it's a meeting invite, that invite is received by someone who has Outlook. Then maybe they also use Microsoft 365. Well, that app is enabled to read that loop and see it embedded. But what if the organization has chosen to turn Loop off because they're not ready for that yet, or it doesn't fit their compliance reasons? What should they see? Probably just a link, right? Just like we do with a Word document. That would be sensible. What if they received it in a Gmail scenario? Here's the invite coming in. Well, it's not a Microsoft app. What should that look like? Well, again, probably just a link, and just allow people to see it, share it, follow the usual patterns like we would share a Word document. So I think that's how I would like to see it work, but I understand the challenge of why they haven't done that yet. Particularly with, if we can talk about another focus area that Microsoft have at the moment, Microsoft 365 Copilot. The Loop team, among many other product groups, are focused on creating Copilot features because that's where the investment is. The things like sharing beyond our organization and guest access to a Loop in a team meeting invite, for example, are on the backlog for sure.
But now, okay, so Darrell, but today, before we, because we don't know when it's going to come, right? What is the thing that, because here's how, when I'm talking to Nick, I'm always talking about, I care about things that I would love to just tell my customer about, the practicality of it, because that's how I filter the things that I pay attention to. Is it going to be beneficial to my customer? Can I explain it to them easy? Because that's my thing. I try to make it sound simple to them and show a benefit. So I haven't found that with Loop yet, but let's say somebody just came up to you and was like, yo, matter of fact, I could just ask you, why do you use Loop? Like, what's your thing? Like, what draws you to Loop that you're like, this is better than these other apps, or this is faster or more convenient? Like, why do you use Loop?
I am not dissimilar to yourselves if you're working in an individual consultant scenario. And I have shifted from using OneNote as my personal knowledge management to Loop. When I use a meeting invite and I add meeting notes, I know that they're not going to be available for Nick and Therman outside of my organization, but they're available for me. I can hit record. I can use the Copilot facilitator and get it to add notes in there. I can add, what is my take on what's important for this meeting? And it's attached to that meeting invite. So I can easily find where that is. I can go back to that event and see it, along with the recap, along with the recording, all of that sort of stuff, the AI notes as well. I can go into another place that we haven't talked about yet, the Loop web app, where I can see almost a view or a category that shows me all my meeting notes that I've ever added to Teams meetings.
I like that. That particularly with Facilitator, that's fantastic.
I was just about to say that sounds amazing, because all these meetings all over the place. But go ahead.
Even as an individual, then it is useful just even for personal knowledge management and personal productivity. I can, from that view, maybe some of those meetings are related to a certain project or day-to-day business. So what I've done is I've set up a Loop workspace for a project, multiple projects, or a Loop workspace for my day-to-day personal notes. And what I do is I take those meeting note loops and place them in the appropriate workspace related to that topic that I'm talking about. So
now, I saw that feature in there. I remember that workspace feature, but you said you used to use OneNote. And OneNote, right now, if I spun up a OneNote, me, you, and Nick could all use the OneNote regardless of our organization. And while it wouldn't look like a component, it would work like a component, because as I type into the screen and then you come along and type after me and Nick types along, we're all synced up and we can see who's doing what.
Yep.
I love OneNote. Like I that's my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember when I first discovered it, and that was the first, matter of fact, that was the first Microsoft tool that I said to myself, wow, they really knocked it out of the park, because I was so used to, respectfully, clunkiness and stuff like that from Microsoft. But this one was like, at the time, it was like beautifully designed. It just always worked. It was not clunky. It was smooth. It looked real modern at the time. So I'm like, I love this thing. So somebody told me a few months ago, maybe even a year ago, who is in contracting, that they stopped managing their proposals in OneNote and now they manage it in Loop. And I'm like, you got to tell me why. Like, why did you? Matter of fact, I need to go back to her and ask her. But so, yeah, like I need something to pull me away from OneNote. And that's so huge that I could, like, right now, like I said, me, you, and Nick could all share the OneNote right now, but I can't do that with.
But that's not the. I think the thing is that clearly is not the default use case. You know, like it's an important use case, but if that was the most important use case to the most the biggest customers, then it would be at the top of the list of things to be delivered, right? I mean, some of this is just to do with prioritizing the features that have the biggest impact, right, Darrell?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't speak on behalf of the Microsoft product team, but I'm guessing that you would agree with that.
Yeah. I will say this though, like while the Loop embedded experience is not shareable with someone outside of your org, you can, just like with any file, say, share this Loop page. What comes up? The same sharing dialog box you get when you share a Word document, an Excel document, your OneNote notebook. You send that link over to someone, they're going to jump through familiar hoops, just like you'd have to do with an Outlook, with a OneNote notebook, and open up that page and use it. So yes, they can share with people beyond their organization if they treat it like just a regular file. They just won't have that embedded experience that's really convenient and sitting there right in your face. Similarly, like you can share your OneNote notebook and you treat it like a file. Similarly, you can invite guests into your Loop workspaces, and they will go through the same hoops of okay, here's the link. I open it up. I sign in with my M365 account. Here I am opening the workspace. So it still operates the same.
Okay, so then in that case, me, you, and Nick can open a loop right now. But okay, all right, and then
I use one weekly with my friend Daniel Glenn to plan our podcast, and he's outside of my org.
Okay, all right, good deal. So then, so Nick, back to your point. Then, if that didn't take the front seat, then clearly Microsoft is not like, hey, go ahead and start using this outside of your organization. But they maybe for the enterprise, they know, to your point earlier, a lot of teams are going to be collaborating inside of the organization.
I think that's the key, isn't it? Of like they know their customer.
IPT, independent project team. So yeah, you might be right.
They know their customer, and I think that gives us a good segue though into the knowing your customer. Into there's a product. Loop was going to be it, right? Loop was the product that was at the top of the pack, so to speak, in terms of this is where we want to go with Microsoft 365. It certainly seemed like that was the case. But then this pesky thing called ChatGPT came along, and suddenly we had Copilot, and now everything is Copilot-centric. And, I've said this before, I won't go into the detail too much, but my personal perspective on this, I don't know if you'd agree with this, Darrell, is I feel like we're missing a trick with Loop in a way in the Copilot age, because the thing that I see with components is it's a way to make people do something that we've been struggling to make them do for decades when it comes to information management. And that is to segment the different parts of what they're doing into logical units that could then be understood in systematized ways by software, which is one of the fundamental issues of Copilot. How do you get the right grounding? How do you get the right context? How do you find the right stuff? And so I've been really surprised by the fact that Microsoft hasn't gone more all in on this idea of redesigning how using Microsoft 365 works and pushing more away from I'm going to create a Word document, I'm going to create a Excel file, whatever it might be, to this idea of I'm going to create a component, because in and of itself, that component is easier for a product like Copilot to understand than that entire document. And I've been really surprised by that. Is that something that surprised you as well?
Again, knowing development priorities and where the business wants to focus, I know that they have made beginnings towards that vision. Think of a Word document, and that it's great that we can share it with our team, but wouldn't it be great, even better, if we could say, hey, I only want to share this page with you so you can go away and do your thing. But you don't necessarily have to get overwhelmed by the rest of the document. What would that take? Well, I think that would take the Word application to be rewritten in Fluid Framework, so that when you are just typing a regular Word document, you're still going to get all your beautiful formatting and all those sorts of features. But underneath it all, you're able to select this paragraph, say share, puts a little border around it, and then you can share it with someone, and that's all they see. That I think is an end goal, but again, it has to go on the backlog because Copilot is the focus.
Yeah, I understand that. Sorry, Therman,
Nick,
you go on.
Sorry, yeah, I was gonna say, wouldn't that experience? Speaking of Copilot, wouldn't that experience be better to put in the Copilot chat interface than try to do it inside of Word?
Well, I mean, one of the earliest demos that we saw of Copilot was very Loop-centric when it came to what we saw in Copilot Chat. And then it wasn't called Copilot Chat. I think it was called Bing Chat or Business Chat or whatever it was at the point. Nice. But that kind of level of integration between that chat experience and Microsoft 365 generally, and Loop specifically, hasn't to this point arrived with that kind of level of just seamless integration. And so I think there's lots of opportunities there. I think there are opportunities in terms of Loop is an exciting technology from the point of view of how do you make interactions like that live, right? This idea of that they can live on, you can move them around, and so on and so forth. But I honestly think this componentization of content, to me, is a far more pressing issue for how do you make a tool like Copilot as effective as it could possibly be. Because, that idea of I've shared this paragraph with Therman, but I've not shared it with Darrell, that is relevant context to understand what individuals are working on, what teams are working on, and to build a knowledge graph that's far more robust than what we've got right now. And to me, one of the biggest barriers with making the promise of Copilot with its integration into Microsoft 365 really as effective as it could possibly be is the granularity of its contextual knowledge of the organization that you're working in. And to me, the way Loop works aligns with that better than anything else that we've got in Microsoft 365 right now.
That's a strong point you're making there, Nick.
And everyone thought that I was anti-Loop, but that's not true. You see, like I'm very positive about it, but just to me, the focus is in the wrong place. I would like to see the focus change a little. To make it more about what the data than the experience of the user side of it.
Oh, okay, all right. That's what I was gonna say. Is that I like the idea of like the components. I like what Darrell just described about kind of like that whole situation with Word using something like that. But am I don't know. Am I like pressing for it? I mean, I'm not like, oh man, bring it on. Okay, so there was not one time, but a few times when using ChatGPT, it gave you this what's this feature? It was like Pages or something.
Canvas.
Where it kind of like what's it called?
It's called Canvas in ChatGPT.
Okay, is that the feature where it kind of like takes what you're talking about and like moves it to the side, and then you continue to?
It's kind of the equivalent of Pages in Copilot, which Pages are Loop. So another place that we get Loop.
Okay, all right. I like that feature. Go ahead, Darrell.
That's born out of the need for we're having a conversation with whatever the AI is. Yep. We find it useful. We want to put it somewhere so we can reuse it, add our own notes to it, adapt it, change it as a thing that the conversation has ended over here with our AI. We're going to start using the outputs. So yeah, the experience that we have within the Copilot world is powered by Loop. It's I want to send this to a page. We get our Copilot chat pushed off to the left. We have a little canvas now where that the outputs from that chat have now been copied over to that page, and we can start reordering some of that information to help our thoughts, maybe putting some of our own words around it. It's become a Loop document at that point. It's called Copilot Pages. Bless Microsoft for all of their confusing marketing, but it is a Copilot. There you go. I'm already confused.
No one knows what it's called.
Now see, that's a feature I can get behind, because a conversation with Copilot for me, and for I'm sure a ton of other people, cannot just go on like this forever. There's a chunk a chunk comes out, and I'm like, okay, I need to sit this to the side, maybe come back to this, give this some more thought. Now let me keep going. Here's another thought. Ooh, that sounds good. Let me sit it next to this other thought too. Like basically what I could do with sticky notes, except I only have so much space on a sticky note. But that is a feature. That's a really good feature. And that's crazy because people are probably using this feature and having zero idea that it's like Loop Pages. You know what I'm saying? So it's
that is true. But You know
I
what
was
I
going
love?
to ask, like, where would you store all your sticky notes? Are they going to be all like stuck on the bottom of your monitor,
No,
or are you going to try and
I'm
put
a
them
top
somewhere
of
and collect
desk.
them?
Yeah, I'm a top of desk kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? I got one right
If you
Alright.
here
see
with a
Therman going like this, it's because he's looking for his
What
sticky note.
what
right there. I got
what
another
if
one right
Yeah.
here.
what if you stuck them in a notebook? You know, to collect them together. Yeah, at least like here's my notebook for that project that I'm sort of working through, and here's this other one that's researching something else as well. What if we could collect those pages into a notebook for its
Let's see.
purpose? We've
I
got
mean,
two options.
that's how I feel about OneNote. I
Yeah.
feel like OneNote allows me to have the big picture, then the
Mm-hmm.
sub picture, and then all of the details about each of those sub pictures. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah.
And
my
now, Therman, you can put your Copilot pages in a Copilot notebook, and you can access
Mm-hmm.
your Copilot notebooks in OneNote.
okay.
Yeah.
It all comes full circle.
Or oh yeah. Or and you can also put them in your Loop workspace. So the Loop workspace will be your equivalent to your the way that you order things in a OneNote. You've got your pages and your sub pages. You can drag things and keep them all together inside that nice container called a workspace. The Copilot notebooks, again, they're developed by the Loop team. They are, a stack of pages, but not only that, they're links to other references and resources that you might want to use for your conversations.
Mm,
And again, where are you going to put your thinking? Are you going to? It's think of the Loop experience. There is it's your digital canvas for. I've got these chunks of things from all the different conversations I've had with Copilot. How am I going to put that and order my thoughts? Well, I put it on this page, which just so happens to be powered by Loop,
Mm-hmm.
and I can then work through it. Then, because it is powered by Loop, I can share it in the same way that I do with a component. I have found this really cool piece of research, 2 or 3 paragraphs. I'm going to share it with my buddy over here. How should I do it? I could embed it in an Outlook message. I could embed it
mm-hmm,
in a Teams chat. I could actually drop it into a Teams channel and share it with my team. Maybe
mm-hmm.
maybe they add it then to the Loop workspace that is inside their team. Oh, did you know that we've got guests in this team? Can they access that Loop workspace? Yeah.
Okay, so I like that. I like that. But the last thing the last thing I was going to ask you here is leadership. If I'm a CEO, well, I go a little bit lower. I'll say maybe maybe second in charge. I'm a COO. I'm in charge of operations. If I'm in charge of operations, why do I or do you have a good example of how I could use Loop?
Some teams have been doing this for years and managing team knowledge in a OneNote notebook. They'll have a section or a group of pages and they'll say, here's our processes about how we're doing things. Here's another section where we're all taking the meeting notes that we take together and we store them there. Here's a list of relevant links and various thoughts and research. So they're already doing this in a OneNote. This is how you can also work within a Loop workspace. But now you've got the benefit of being able to share pieces of that in a relevant fashion. Like I can share just that paragraph. I can, and we haven't even talked about this. What does the Loop canvas look like? It is a white page that has a bit of, menu bits and pieces around the side, but where is the toolbar? There isn't one. Well, why is that? Because I'll just use a / or a right click and I'll choose the tool right there in the context of what I need. It's meant to be a simplified experience where you're not overwhelmed with ribbons with many different layers to them.
Yeah, it sounds like the people who are really good at Excel. They don't. I
Yeah,
heard they don't use the mouse. They just stay on the keyboard the whole time
yeah,
for a
yeah.
faster, more efficient.
Not that you're
efficient use.
advocating for Excel, Therman. That
No.
that wouldn't be on
Uh,
brand if you were advocating for Excel. You're
well,
just
don't
using it
forget.
as a
Don't forget. I am not necessarily a hater of Excel. I just don't like to see it be used incorrectly. You know what I'm saying? It's
no. I understand. I understand. Well, I think this has been a really good chat. I've certainly learned a lot, Darrell, and it's been a great pleasure to be able to chat with you. I think you know I've been watching your videos for a very long time. I think everyone should check out what you do, because you bring a bit more creativity to the way that you express things than a lot of creators in this space do, and I think a lot of people can appreciate that. So some of this content can get a bit dry, and you try to make sure that it isn't dry at all. So I think that's really appreciated. But also, you've been a really big supporter of what I've done as well, which I've really appreciated. So it's been a great privilege to be able to have this conversation with you and have you on the show, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again. But what I would like to invite you to do is just tell everyone, you know, I've talked about your channel a bit, but please do tell everyone how they can find out more about you, get in contact.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to find me and my content, what I do, is you search for Modern Work Mentor. Been using that name for a little while now. My YouTube channel eventually changed to that. On the social media, I mean, that's a whole other topic, man. You know, like it used to be an easy place to connect with people. Now it's For You feeds, and you know, you might see a buddy's post 2 weeks after. That goes for LinkedIn, Threads, Instagram, X, whatever the platform you're using. They're all like that. But yeah, you'll find me there.
What about you? What about you, Therman? What you got going on this week?
LinkedIn. I got LinkedIn going on. Just come find me on LinkedIn. I'm always talking about SharePoint over there. You know, I eat, sleep, and breathe me some SharePoint. So nothing special this week. Just, you know, follow me if you want to know how you can use SharePoint for your organization. There's tons of features in there, and I'd love to tell you about them. And Nick, what about you?
Come and look at me on LinkedIn. I write there every day because Therman told me to.
Good deal.
Like and subscribe. Thanks.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah.
All right. Listen.
Well, thank you so much, Darrell. It's been a fantastic episode, and really, I think helped both of us understand things a lot better with a technology that we rarely touch. So I really appreciate that.
Fantastic. It's been great to chat. I always enjoy hearing how people discover stuff, figure stuff out, the questions they have. They're all relevant, man. There's no stupid question. If we have a question and we feel it's stupid, it's probably because the software's stupid, right? Yeah.